We are on question 73. The author says, speak about performing the obligations. Upon whom is it obligatory to perform them? Okay. My answer to this is when he says, speak about performing the obligations, I would say it's obligatory on any person who is sane and pubescent and who has received the basic message of Islam to fulfill all of the obligations. Anything that's obligatory upon that one, male or female, is obligatory on that one to do so. And that includes avoiding all the sins. It's obligatory to avoid the sins. So doing all of the obligations and avoiding all of the sins. In fact, this is the minimum obligation to do all of the obligations and avoid all the sins. Some obligations, now I'm just going to digress real quick here. Some obligations are common amongst all the people, praying and making purification. But even within that, each person has his own case or cases. Some people, for example, they cannot get down into sujood to put their forehead to the ground. So then they do the replacement for that. They still have an obligation to do though. Or the likes of this. Some people don't have water, so they're going to make tayammum with soil. So whatever is one's obligation, he has to do it. And he needs to learn about it so that he can do it. There's a verse in the Quran, it means Allah did not put the human being on the earth unaccountable. If he weren't accountable, it means he could just do whatever he wants to do. Anything he doesn't want to do, he doesn't have to do. Anything he does want to do, he can just do. Okay. Speak about performing the obligations. Upon whom is it obligatory to perform them? Those obligations are obligatory upon the one who is sane, not crazy, the one who is pubescent, not prepubescent, and the one that the basic message of Islam reached him, which is that no one is God but Allah and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Then this person is called mukallaf, that means accountable or responsible. This means responsible for the afterlife. Or I like to put it, this means a person is now eligible for hell. Saying pubescent and the basic message of Islam reached him, then he is eligible for hell. So the one who's insane is not eligible for hell. The one who's prepubescent is not eligible for hell. The one that the basic message of Islam never reached him, like he's an aborigine somewhere in a jungle somewhere, then he's not eligible for hell. Okay, that's my answer there. I'm just getting warmed up too. I feel like it's not really very good. Best way I could answer, but I'm just getting warmed up with you now. So let's see the answer here. It says answer 73. Each mukallaf, that's the religiously responsible person, charged. Mukallaf here means charged. That means charged with duties. Each mukallaf is obligated to perform all that, instead of all what? All that Allah made obligatory upon him or her. Yes, this includes praying to one's ability to do so. The one who can stand has to. The one who can't stand doesn't have to. He still has to pray though, but he just has to pray without standing. The one who can fast has to. The one who can't fast will do its replacement, such as feeding poor people. This includes praying, fasting, paying zakah, performing hajj, and other things. One who cannot perform hajj on his own can appoint someone or hire someone to do it for him, and other things, such as your monetary obligations too. That includes supporting your wife and paying your debts and supporting your prepubescent children. One must perform them according to what Allah ordered the person to do. This means that one must fulfill the obligations requisites, yani the requisites of the obligation. You're familiar with that apostrophe on the S there? That's S apostrophe, S apostrophe. That means it's a plural already. So the apostrophe is not in front of the S. and it's possessive, so the apostrophe comes after the S. And one must fulfill the obligations, requisites, and prerequisites. Requisites means the integrals. The integrals means that which makes up the act itself. What is it that makes up the wudu itself? The intention and washing the face and washing the forearms and wiping the head and washing the feet. That is the wudu itself. So those are its integrals. What are the integrals or the requisites of the ghusl? The intention and washing the entire outside of your body. So that is the ghusl itself. So those are its integrals, etc. What are the requisites or integrals of the prayer? The intention and saying Allahu Akbar and standing if able and reciting the Fatiha and bowing and standing back up and prostrating and then sitting up and prostrating again and then standing up for the next rak'ah or sitting to end your prayer, etc. Those are the integrals of the prayer, the requisites of the prayer. So one must fulfill the obligations, requisites, and prerequisites, conditions, and avoid what invalidates them. This means he has to learn. Hence, it is not enough to go through the motions of worship. Yani, it's not sufficient to do something from the outside only. Like someone would not know how to pray, so he just stands in line. Like he comes in, he sees the Muslim standing in line, so he stands there. He doesn't know what he's doing. And he sees them bend over, so he just bends over. He doesn't know what he's doing. And then they stand up, so he stands up. This is not valid. So the answerer continues. The Prophet ﷺ said, رب قائم ليس له من قيامه إلا السهر ورب صائم ليس له من صيامه إلا الجوع والعطش رواه ابن حبان. This hadith means there are those who pray and get nothing from their prayer but a sleepless night. That's nice. There are people who fast and get nothing from their fast except hunger and thirst. A sleepless night, that's a nice expression there. As for rubba qa'imin, it says here, there are people who pray. There are those who pray. It means how many who pray. Rubba qa'imin, who stand. Qa'im is someone who's standing. How many who stand? There are many a stander, many a standing one. لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ قِيَامِهِ إِلَّا السَّهَرِ. He has nothing from his standing but a sleepless night. And he stayed up late. Standing here means he's praying. وَرُبَّ صَائِمٍ, and many a fasting one there is. لَيْسَ لَهُ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ إِلَّا الْجُوعَ وَالْعَطَشِ. He has nothing from his fasting except hunger and thirst. Why? Yani, that would mean even validity. He doesn't even have any validity in his standing. That's narrated by Ibn Hibban. What's the remedy for that? Learning. Question 74. What must be done to the person who leaves out some of the obligations? The answer is he must be commanded to do his obligations and actually forced if one is able to force him. That's the answer. Let's see what the answerer says here. That's my answer, Jan. Let's see what the answerer says here. The answerer says, if one sees another person leaving out any of what Allah made obligatory or performing it incorrectly, one must order that person to perform the obligation correctly. Correct. That's if you're able to. So you say to a person, for example, you need to, when you pray, don't let your butt hover. It has to land. That's sitting. Don't kneel. You're kneeling, not sitting. Prayer's not valid like that. I advise you, sit, please, for your own sake. Yeah. Or this is the wrong direction. You need to turn your direction. Fix your direction. But if someone is praying in the wrong direction, you can't turn him while he's in the middle of his prayer, like some people do. That's ignorance. Because this doesn't help him. This will not make his prayer become valid. Turning him while he's in the middle of his prayer will not make his prayer become valid. And if his prayer were valid and you turned him, then you invalidated his prayer. So this is useless here. That's futile to turn him in the middle of his prayer. So let him finish and then advise him. One is also required to force that person to do so, if one is able. Yes, Yani, you're going to assess that situation there. Sometimes you would be able, because it's your house, for example. Yani, because you're like that. You can force him because you're like that. That's why. Like Umar ibn al-Khattab, he was like that. So you're going to do the right thing in his presence, like it or not. Otherwise, one has to denounce that negligence or misperformance in one's heart when one cannot force or order its change. Yes, it's obligatory to hate the sin in the heart. Don't let that obligation slip you. Because we see so many sins, you might not recall hating a sin. It's obligatory to hate all sins, big and small. This denunciation is the least that is required if one is unable to change the haram by hand or tongue. Okay, I think they said what I said, but with more words. Any questions so far? Question 75. Speak about avoiding the haram matters. Okay, my answer to that would be, in order to avoid the haram matters, you have to learn about them. You need to learn about the sins. The way to learn about the sins is by learning about the organs from which those sins come. So you'd learn about the sins of the heart, the sins of the hands, the sins of the feet, etc. And also the way to learn about these sins is to learn about the obligations, because not doing the obligation is a sin. When you know what your obligations are, then you're going to know that not doing it is a sin. And when you learn about what are these sins, then you're going to learn that doing such a thing is a sin. Then you must avoid it. If you avoid the haram with a good intention, with an intention of obeying Allah, then you have reward. And if you commit the haram, you deserve punishment. But if you avoid the haram without an intention, then you don't have any reward. But you don't have a sin because you're not doing anything haram. So, yeah, that's my answer. Period. And then I'll remind you before I forget. A sin does not require an intention. A sin does not require an intention. Who's the one who says about a sin, well, I didn't mean to? She knew you didn't mean to. Don't you know a sin doesn't require an intention? Mean to means intend. I didn't mean to means that's another way of saying I didn't intend. When did a sin require an intention? You said, so if I see a person praying in the wrong direction, shouldn't I inform him right away because anyway his prayer is invalid in the first place? Well, his prayer might not be invalid actually. Because it could be that he did an ijtihad for his qibla, and his ijtihad led him to the direction he's facing, and it's different from yours. Neither of you can see the Kaaba. You can't see the Kaaba, he can't see the Kaaba. So you use your knowledge to find the direction, he uses his knowledge to find the direction. So according to you, his prayer is invalid because, or yeah, Yani, according to you, his direction is wrong. According to him, his direction might not be wrong. I mean, wafikum, but this opens a door for a discussion that I don't want to make a long discussion out of it now. I'll try to keep something brief right now. If what I just said is true, then why do we object to people facing Northeast and North America, in the United States and Canada, I mean? Because the method, it's because of the method they are using. It's the method they are using. Yani, what did Imam An-Nawawi say? He said, وَلَا تَصِحُّ إِلَّا بِأَدِلَّةِ الْقِبْلَةِ. The Qibla is not valid except by the Qibla proofs. You have to use the Qibla proofs. They are not using the Qibla proofs. what led them to face northeast in the United States and Canada was not using the Qibla proofs in the first place. Yani, had they really just stuck to the Sunnah, then they would have faced southeast in the United States and Canada. So, what if a person, what's a scenario where it's valid according to what I'm saying to you? He does not use the way that the people who face Northeast use. Rather, he uses proper rules, but by a miscalculation, he was off. However, he doesn't realize his miscalculation and he followed the rules as much as he could. Then he's going to regard his prayer as valid. Yeah, and what does that look like? That looks like even yourself, for example. You're out somewhere. You need to pray. You're not going to get home in time before the prayer's out. You don't have a compass, let's say. And also, you don't have other very recognizable signs for yourself. Recognizable signs for yourself would be like in your city, you know how the blocks go. First Street, Second Street, Third Street, Fourth Street. You might say, in my town, as the numbers progress, that means you're going west. Second Street, Third Street, Fourth Street, Fifth Street. That's west in my town. Fifth Street, Fourth Street, Third Street, Second Street. That's east in my town, for example. So let's say you are somewhere. You don't have a compass. You don't have very recognizable signs for yourself. And you need to pray. You're not going to get home in time before the prayer time goes out. So you attempt. You looked at the sun. You looked at the shadows. You measured your time. You estimated the time. You said, okay, it's about Asr time now. So the sun should be not close to the horizon. Not close to these zenith, the center of the sky. Should not be close to the center of the sky between east and west. Should be closer to the west. That means the shadows should be tilted like this. And so, according to my best determination, this is the way for me to pray. I exerted my effort here as much as I could. I don't come to anything better. Allahumma taqabbal minni. Oh Allah, accept my prayer. Allahu Akbar. Then you make your takbir and you pray. What do you regard your prayer here? Valid. I'm not going to say my prayer was invalid. Now, what if it turned out, though, that you were off? Let me say this. What if you were off, but you never double checked? You never checked another time. That's what your situation was that day. You prayed, you did your best ability to face Qibla by proper rules. In reality, you were off by some degrees, but you never double checked. Your prayer, you consider your prayer as valid here. Is this clear? Now, if you were to go back to that same spot, you say, oh, now this is where I was. I have my compass with me right now. Let me pull out my trusty tested compass. And then you found that you were some degrees off. As long as you're not sure that it was wrong, you still don't have to make up your prayer. As long as you're not sure. Like, how would you be sure you were wrong? Like you found out that you actually prayed with your back to the Qibla altogether. You're going to say, oh, man, I was tripping. Then you're going to make up your prayer. Okay. So, yeah, if you see a person praying in a direction that's not according to your determination, don't turn him. Just let him finish and then advise him after that. The answerer continues. He says, it is required that when one forbids the sin, that this does not lead to another sin, which is bigger in degree than the first. That requires sometimes thinking ahead or having some sense to see that if you do this, it's going to be worse. Some people lack that sense. Yani, so they're in a bad situation and then they get into a worse situation while they actually wanted to make it better. There was a bad situation. They wanted to fix that bad situation and it wound up worse. So usually what's that? That's foolishness. Be fool is the one who wants to help and makes things worse. That's amongst his traits. The fool has other traits too. Otherwise, such an action is not permissible. Yani, this forbidding the evil would not be permissible because it implies leaving out the corrupt matter for a more corrupt matter. Then you don't say anything. Also, if you think that the person won't listen to you, you don't have to say anything. How come if you're in public, you don't have to say, oh, people, embrace Islam now. Say the Shahada. Oh, women, all you free women out here, cover your heads. Why are you not obligated to do that? Isn't that forbidding the evil and bidding the good? But they're not going to listen to you, most likely. They're going to think you're a weirdo and just keep walking. So you're not obligated when you don't think that there's any benefit. So two cases when you're not obligated to bid the good and forbid the evil. One, when you don't see that there's a benefit, meaning you don't see that someone will listen to you. And two, if you can surmise that if you do so, it's going to lead to something worse. And who's going to fool himself here? A coward. A coward is going to fool himself here. The coward is going to say, they're not going to listen to me. I'll just not say anything. Yeah, he's going to make the excuse for himself anyway because he's a coward. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيره بيده فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه فإن لم يستطع فبقلبه وذلك أضعف الإيمان. رواه Muslim. You memorize that hadith, inshallah. At the least, memorize it in English. This means whoever amongst you sees an evil, sees here means knows about, he must change it with his hand. Yani, فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ. Let him change it with his hand. That's a command. فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ. Let him change it with his hand. بِيَدِهِ. If he is unable to do so, then with his tongue. And if he is unable to do so, then with his heart. Yani, he must hate it in his heart. And this is the least that is required if one were unable. Yani, this is the weakest of faith. This is the least that one with faith would do. The faithful one, he would resign to his inability to stop the haram and hate it in his heart. Question 76. What is al-haram and what is al-wajib? So here, this question is fine. I would just suggest taking off al here. Put the, for example. What is the haram and what is the wajib? The Arabic words are fine. Haram and wajib. Okay, that's easy. My answer is the haram is that which, if you do it, you deserve to be punished. And if you don't do it, you deserve reward. If you have a good intention, though. And the wajib is the opposite. It is that which, if you do it, you deserve reward. And if you don't do it, you deserve punishment. If you do it with a good intention, you deserve reward. And if you don't do it, you deserve punishment. Okay. Let's see what the answer is here. Answer, al-haram is that which Allah obligated his slaves to avoid, and for which Allah deemed punishment in the hereafter for the person who performs it, and deemed reward for the person who avoids it. Okay. The opposite of al-haram is al-wajib. So al means the. So al-wajib is that which Allah obligated his slaves to fulfill, and for which Allah deemed reward for the person who performs it, if he has a good intention, and deemed punishment in the hereafter for the one who leaves it out. Okay. Question 77. Give some examples of blasphemous beliefs. MashaAllah. Okay. How would I answer that question? My answer to this question would be, examples of blasphemous beliefs are like comparing God to the creations. Or atheism, denying the existence of God or denying any of his attributes. Or denying prophethood. Or believing that a religion other than Islam is acceptable. So, yeah, it's possible to say more. I would say approximately that much. Let's see what the answer is here. This answerer said, the one who believes in a religion other than Islam, so I got that, or does not believe in a verse of the Quran, okay, to deny the Quran. That comes under denying prophethood, though. Or does not believe in a prophet whose prophethood is known in the religion by necessity. Yes, goes under denying prophethood. Then he commits blasphemy. But why it says a prophet whose prophethood is known in the religion by necessity? This is a qualifier. Is there such thing as a prophet whose prophethood is not known in the religion by necessity? Yes. This means his prophethood is not common knowledge. There are prophets whose prophethood, yani their identities are not known to many Muslims. Like if someone denies the prophethood of Sheath, then we don't deem him as a kafir. And also, there are some people that the scholars differed about whether they're prophets or not, like Dhul Qarnayn and Uzair and Al Khadir and others. Denying their prophethood is not blasphemy. There's already a difference in opinion about it anyway. But denying the prophethood of someone whose prophethood is known in the religion by necessity is definitely blasphemy immediately. Like Adam is included in that. Denying the prophethood of Adam is blasphemy. And Noah and Abraham and Moses and Jesus, and also other prophets like David and Solomon. The answer continues. Similarly, the one who deems permissible, halal, a matter that is commonly known among the Muslims to be impermissible, haram. Yes, okay. This part, I did miss it. It crossed my mind. This part crossed my mind, which is to deem in the heart the halal as haram, or the haram as halal, or the obligation is not obligatory, or what's not obligatory as obligatory, while knowing what came in the religion. That's blasphemy. Yani, you can sum that up by saying contradicting the religion. Yani, contradicting the religion. So the answerer says, the one who deems permissible a matter that is commonly known among the Muslims to be impermissible, or deems haram a matter that is commonly known among the Muslims to be halal, then he commits blasphemy in his heart. Likewise, the one who likens Allah to the creations, I got that, or attributes a place, that's likening him, or attributes a direction to Allah, that's likening him, he commits blasphemy in disbelief, in belief, blasphemy of conviction. Yeah. Has a blasphemous conviction. Okay, that's easy. Question 78, give some examples of blasphemous actions. Subhanallah, what just made me pause now? Because I'm thinking about the order of the information that's in the summary of obligatory knowledge. And I'm thinking about the order of the questions that are here. Didn't we already ask questions like the judgment of the apostate? Yes. The judgment of the apostate comes after this. This is the beginning here. Question 77. In the book of obligatory knowledge, this topic comes before question 76. Yani, the The sequence of the summary of obligatory knowledge is first the meaning of the first shahada, then the meaning of the second shahada, then the rules of apostasy, yani blasphemous convictions, blasphemous actions, blasphemous sayings, then rules of the apostate. We for sure covered those questions about rules of the apostate. Then bidding the good and forbidding the evil, and defining the wajib and the haram. Then purification and prayers. So what happened here? After the halal, the wajib and the haram, it went backwards. Came back to talk about blasphemy. As far as the order of the summary of obligatory knowledge, question 77 should be before question 76. Question 78, give some examples of blasphemous actions. Yes. Blasphemous actions, my answer is, this includes prostrating to a creation other than a human. As for prostrating to a human, it won't be blasphemy without an intention of worshiping the human. So prostrating to a creation is blasphemy regardless of the intention. And prostrating to a human is not blasphemy without the intention of worshiping that human. And also standing on, stepping on, spitting on, sitting on religious material, respectable religious material, or throwing it in the trash or putting it in a dirty place. That includes a Quran book or a book of religious knowledge or a respectable religious name, like the name of a prophet, and not the name of someone who has the name of a prophet. The name of a prophet when that name refers to the prophet. Maybe several of you right now, your name is Muhammad, listening to the lesson. Not you, not your name. Prophet Muhammad's name, not your name, Muhammad, brother Muhammad. The name of angels, etc. That's blasphemy. And also, blasphemous actions include wearing blasphemous symbols while going into the blasphemers' place of worship and mingling with them. That's three. That's a combination of three things. One, wearing blasphemous symbols like a cross. Two, entering the place of blasphemy. And three, mingling with those blasphemers. That's what the Sheikh taught us. Some scholars said number one alone is enough to be blasphemy, which is to wear the blasphemous symbol. So according to some scholars, just to wear the cross is blasphemy. What we learned is that what's more accurate is that that alone is not blasphemy. It is haram, though. It's going to be blasphemy if not only you wore it, but also entered the place of worship of those blasphemers and mingled with them. Then that's blasphemy. Or legalizing it. Legalizing the wearing that blasphemous symbol, that's blasphemy. Or seeking blessings from that blasphemous symbol, that's blasphemy. Or glorifying that blasphemous symbol, that's blasphemy. So that's my answer here for giving examples of blasphemous actions. I think I covered probably most of it in summary. Answer here is he who cusses, meaning insults. He who insults Allah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sorry, that's sayings. Give some examples of blasphemous actions. Answer, the one who throws the book of the Quran in the filth. Take out the in filth. Or makes prostration, sujood, to an idol or the sun. Or any creation other than a human. Or does any action that the Muslims have agreed is not done by other than a blasphemer. Like these three, the combination of these three. Why that's blasphemy? wearing the blasphemous symbol, entering the place of blasphemy and mingling with the blasphemers, all those three at the same time, because no one would do that but a blasphemer. So it's blasphemy. Yani, a blasphemous action is defined as an action that is not done but by a blasphemer. Then the one who does that is a blasphemer by doing one of those blasphemous actions. Wallahu a'lam. Let's stop there. 79, give some examples of blasphemous sayings. We'll start there. Blasphemous sayings probably has a lot. That's my anticipation. I didn't read ahead. So we'll see. Inshallah. Do you have any question I can answer for you?